What up, Vigilantes? Welcome back to the show, and I'm going to be having a lot of people that you guys don't know come on the show because crypto is very vast, very involved, and there's so much to talk about. But before we move into actual guests of the show, I'm going to introduce you guys to the newest members of the Crypto Vigilante. As you guys know, when Jeff Berwick and myself started the Crypto Vigilante, our idea was to put together the best team in the world, and we've done that for you guys. We're very happy today to be introducing you to Mr. A. As you guys know, Mr. W has been a badass with the charts, and we're growing, and we have a desire from our subscribers for there to be more ongoing charts, more setups, more follow-up, constant follow-up on what's happening in the crypto market since it's so crazy. And so we asked Mr. W, who in the world would you want to have as your co-pilot in this endeavor? And Mr. W said, I have the man, and that is Mr. A. Mr. A, thank you for being with us today.
Well, it's a pleasure, Rafael. Yeah, it's really good to be here. I'm stoked.
So I know that you love your privacy, as we all do. And so please share with us a little bit about your background and who you are and what brought you here. What led you to us?
Okay, so maybe I'll go back to the beginning and talk about how I got into crypto in the first place. So it was like back in, shortly after Bitcoin was launched in 2010. And I had a roommate who got into it like really early. He was mining just, a lot of Bitcoin at that time. But I wasn't really into it. I was in my music career mode at that point. And then he offered me, hey, do you want to buy, X amount of Bitcoin for like $200, which at that time was like an insane amount. And I said, no, I don't want to spend money on that. Like, I don't believe in that. Like, I thought it was like kind of like bullshit in a way. I wasn't paying attention to it. And then I went out to breakfast with him. And at breakfast said, hey, I'm going to make you set up a wallet and I'm going to give you some Bitcoin for this breakfast. I was like, okay, no problem. Set it up, put it on my phone. It was like, classic, blockchain wallet on an iPhone. He sent me the coins for the breakfast. It was like $20. And then I didn't look at it for a good year and a half. And then when I opened the wallet again, I saw that that breakfast was worth 5 figures. I was like, there's definitely something here. So at that point, once I saw that, I was like, yeah, we're going all in right now. And then I basically, purchased as much as I could, got into mining, got the first generation ASIC miners when they came out, because I felt that was going to be the last chance for the home miners to actually mine at home before all went industrial. I saw that coming. And then rode that mining thing as long as I could. And while I was accumulating those coins, I decided that I wanted to learn techno analysis. And that's where I met Mr. W. And I joined him in the BBA service and essentially learned from him for a long time and worked together.
Okay. So let's give people a little background on BBA and what BBA has been in the world of crypto. Unfortunately, BBA doesn't exist anymore. BBA, if you want the heart of BBA, it's the Crypto Vigilante, really. It kind of like BBA became part of the Crypto Vigilante. BBA is known for being amongst the group of people who first charted Bitcoin in Bitcoin's history in 2010 on the Bitcoin Talk forums, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, there was called Bitcoin Bull Bear at that time. That was just the name. It was run by a guy named S3052. And then when he expanded the service to just being more than a foreign thing, that's when Mr. W came aboard and a few other people came aboard. And then we actually had a chat channel. And at the very beginning, it used to be like me, Mr. W, and like one member in the chat. It was like, that's how early I was in it. It was just like 3 people, before it grew to, many more subscribers. But there was a period there during the early bear markets, with just 3 people chatting, like, what's going on? And
dude, that's crazy that you guys were charting Bitcoin back then. I mean, that to me is wild.
Yeah, I mean, it was not even that easy to chart Bitcoin back then. Like the tools that we have today are just so far more advanced compared to back then. It's kind of like over the top what we can do now.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
the comment that I hear around is that Mr. A's charts look like alien technology.
there's probably a dash of that in there for sure.
Yeah, your charts are pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, they are something else to look at. I really enjoy them. Um, and it's interesting to me how you and Mr. W both have different modalities. Would you like to maybe expound on that a little?
Sure. Actually, my charts have a root of them that I learned from Mr. W early on, and that remains there. Like when you look at them, when you see the colors of my charts using the SCMR indicator, I look at SCMR as like being able to see the candles in full spectrum color, as opposed to everyone looking at red and green, which is black and white. When we put that thing on it, suddenly you have this whole rainbow of colors that tells you more or less what's going on, better than just green and red. And I took that, and once I learned that indicator really well, which took a long time to actually pick up the nuances of what's going on with it, then I started learning from other people, and we'll talk about that in a bit, like who are the other analysts that I have like studied and learned from. And from there, from those people, I started adding more pieces to the charts and learning new indicators. A lot of them are like customized indicators that only I have and a few other people have. And sometimes they go for sale, and then if you can't get your hands on it, do it. If you can't, don't do it. But the mix of different indicators have generated now a total. And I'm gonna look at my screen now. I have 19 different charts that I can look at any given time to see what's going on, and that's
Wow,
what I
that's
show on
wild.
the. And that's what I show on the reports. Actually on the videos most of the time. I go through a few of them, and I flash through them. And getting into each one in detail would be quite complex, but usually I give everybody a rundown of what's going on. Uh, and looking at it today, and I'll share a chart later and see what things are at. It seems to be following yesterday's report. So that's where I am today.
Right on, right on, right on. So you
Mhm.
mentioned the modalities of other technicians. In general, what has been your experience with other crypto chart technicians in crypto?
Okay, so the first thing that I got into, it was the first challenge that I found with charting, is that everything was price based, and I found that the thing that was missing in my trading was timing. Timing was something I was looking for, something that would help me time things better. And then I came across Tone Vei's TD sequential system, and I used to use that a lot. And then I realized that was a bit of a missing element of what was going on. Like we often get price correct, but the timing would be off, and then you get stopped and lose money. So I became a student of like Ton DeMark sequential system and applied that to the other indicator that I have, and suddenly had this rainbow picture with these numbers that tell me like, oh, we're getting close to a 9. That's the end of a trend. Let's take profit here. Even though it may look so really strong, there's a point to actually like reconsider where things are at. So Ton DeMark was definitely a giant in the space, and most of Wall Street uses Ton DeMark indicators for what's going on. Like so for stocks and things like that, the big boys tend to follow what's going on with the TD sequential system. So when that says, sell here, and you're in the stock market, it's probably good to do so because all the big boys are doing the same.
So before we get into
So
any actual
mhm,
charting, I would like to ask you a
mhm,
question because
mhm,
I something that I value very much about you and Mr. W and Bull Bear Analytics. You see, back when we started off the Crypto Vigilante, we only saw one outfit in the world to be our quote unquote competitor, and it was Bull Bear Analytics. And the reason why is because we agreed with you guys completely. We always admire you guys. We admire what you guys did, and to have you guys part of our team, part of our family, is more it's more of than a blessing that I could sit down and describe. So I'm really happy to have you and Mr. W on the team. That goes without saying. What I really like and I find interesting in your approach is that you guys are very well versed in fundamental analysis yourselves. A lot of
mhm,
people that I see on YouTube doing technical analysis tend to be people that just focus on the charts. And that kind of, in a sense, bothers me. But you guys are very holistic in your analysis. Maybe you can talk about that a little.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the fundamentals are very important to me. I mean, I come from an IT background, like, like Mr. X. So when I look at any given coin, the first thing I look at is like, what is the technology behind this? Is this sound? What are the fundamentals behind this? So when you look at Bitcoin right now and the fundamentals of it and the price action, and it's very important to look at what's going on, the fundamentals. Like, for example, like we have this like massive miner exit from China. It's causing the hash rate to drop. And the price has been dropping along with it. Shocking, of course, like that's the fundamental. So there's a bit of a battle between like the technicals there, it's a bull market, but we have this outside event from the mining exodus in China causing some forced selling because they got to pay for expenses to move. That's like pushing things down. So there's this battle between fundamentals and technicals, and you have to like seek the balance and see like where I think is going to go from here. So yes,
Awesome.
fundamentals very important.
I'm really happy you brought up the notion of, of what's happening with China right now and how it's affecting everything you guys have been looking forward to throughout this cycle. And maybe we can get into where we are in this crypto market cycle. Where are
yes,
we?
of course.
Yes.
So basically we're in mid-cycle. That's basically what I've been looking at. We are still in a bull market as far as I'm concerned. As long as we're, above 20,000, things look good. Even if we dipped into it, as long as we don't close below it, it's fine. The 4-year cycle is a fundamental thing that I believe in, and I think Mr. Rebel agrees with me as well, that Bitcoin works in a 4-year cycle. And in the 4-year cycle, 4-year cycles start at the bottom. That's how they're calculated. So the capitulation that we had at, at 3,000 back then, that was the beginning of the next 4-year cycle. And now we're coming into the end of that, which should be a blow off top. And that blow off top can move around. It can be, early 2022 or even late this year. Because of this mining fundamental event that has occurred, I could see even going as far as Q2 2022 and extending it. But after that, there's going to be a bear market. And when that bottoms out, there'll be the beginning of the next 4-year cycle. So as of right now, we are mid-cycle. There's this dip happening. Yes, it's bigger than what we expected it to be, but it's not the end of the world, I don't think. And the fundamentals tell me that once this minor move is complete, and I have a feeling they're in a rush to move because it's summer, it'll be set up somewhere else where it starts to get cooler right away, so expenses remain lower. You just had an expense to move, so they want to get those capital expenses as low as possible. So get set up as quickly as possible in a cold place. Hopefully somewhere in the northern places, like I think Quebec, Canada is a good place to be these days. Cheap hydro, very cold in the winter, perfect place to mine. So I have a feeling they're in a rush to get this done. And once the hash rate starts picking up again, there is an indicator that I use on the chart, so Mr. W, it's called hash ribbons. We'll see a buy signal on that. And when that happens, that'll be probably the mother of all buy signals.
Right on. Well, that sounds like music to everyone's ears that is listening to this. People are wondering, are we at the end of this market cycle? And so let me ask you a question. Is this 4-year cycle, do you see it as pertinent to fall in line with the Bitcoin halving? Is this where it origins from?
That's exactly why. When the Bitcoin halving occurs, that supply demand balance is changed. And once that is changed, the dynamics are in a different mode at that point, and then supply starts to dry up, and the only way to go is higher prices to meet that demand. And this last halving was actually probably a pretty big one when you look at the scale of how it unfolded. That run we had a 7-month bull run once it got going, with there was no opportunity to really buy a dip on that move from 10,000 to 65. There was very little. I mean, there was 25% correction here and there, but usually very fast, very violent, and then right back to moving up. It's kind of a ridiculous move. So because it was so ridiculous, I'm not surprised that we had this correction that we're experiencing. And it might have been this low if we didn't have, you know, the minor fundamental thing happening right now.
Right on, right on, right on. Let me ask you a question. In terms of the halving, for example, we had this discussion right before it happened, and Ed Bugos told us, he's like, guys, the market is expecting this already. And my question to you is, even if the market expects it, do you think we will continue to experience these same cycle of the market structured out into the future? Or do you think that since everyone's expecting for there to be some sort of bull run after the next halving, that maybe the halving's effect won't be as vast? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that the effects will continue to be felt for at least another halving minimum. The whole thing is like, oh, halvings are priced in. They were saying that, you know, back in the last one, was it priced in? No, here are, we made it run to from 10,000 to 65,000 in a very fast amount of time. So was it priced in? No. As you can see, it was not priced in. And when the next one comes, you know, is it going to be priced in? Probably not. I still think supply and demand are what they are. And when supply dries up and demand remains the same, the only way is up.
Right on, right on, right on. Well, I think this is it, the moment everyone's been waiting for, to see these charts of yours, to see where we're at and where we're going and what's going to happen.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my share screen here.
Awesome.
Okay, I think we can see it now.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with the present and then move on to the long term. So this is what we had on the report yesterday. And I said that things were looking pretty bearish at that point. And we had this candle that was looking kind of weak. And right now we have this new candle that actually moved up into the resistance that I mentioned we were moving into yesterday, which is 36.5. And was right at the bottom of this box here. We hit it and now it's flashing from green to gray. So it's a little bipolar, trying to figure out whether it's bullish or neutral. And this is the place where the bears step in and start selling. And when I move on to this chart here, I had this red arrow yesterday on the report for the short-term traders to take profits on this zone. So sure enough, we hit it. At the bottom here, we have our inverse Fisher transform indicator saying also it's time to sell. The candles are purple. There's going to be a dip from here. And actually, this is Monero. Oops.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, this is Monero.
That is Monero.
Right?
It's Monero.
Yeah, yeah.
But let me go to the Bitcoin one because it's a similar situation. Let's go to here. Nope, that is not it. There, similar situation. They're moving along together right now. As you can see, like the Monero chart is very close. Here we are, we had the arrow, you know, at 36.5, which is the bottom of the red box that I was talking about. Things are purple. It's saying sell. So it's going to be a bit of a dip here, but I don't think it'll be very deep. And we're probably going to continue up and explore this zone here before the bears really step in and hammer things down. If we get above this, then things are looking a lot better, and I'm going to be a lot less negative than I've been for the past couple of weeks. So we'll see how that unfolds. So with that said, I'm going to move on to some longer term things. And this is an indicator that I use, which is called the inverse Fisher stop and return. And right now it's on the 2-day chart. And you can see the way this works is that when a level is broken, it moves up to the next level and it hangs in between them. And if the level is broken again, it moves on to the next level and it hangs in between them. And if it's broken again, it goes to the next one. So this is a 2-day time frame. We broke this, but never actually closed below it. And we moved back up and we've been riding this black line all the way down. Still no two single closes below the line. So we've been caught in between these two here. It's actually pretty good and it's starting to flatten out. So that level on the bottom here is 30,900 right now. And the level above is 40,000. And from the reports, we've been saying, in this bearish structure that we have here going down, selling the rally remains the name of the game. So if we get up to 40,000, it would be like an ultimate kind of sell the rally zone before it probably goes back down to revisit the bottom band. And I think we'll be caught in between these as long as we have this minor capitulation playing out, which can be seen here on the bottom. These are called the hash ribbons. And the capitulation started on June 2nd. And the machines have been shutting down ever since. And there's no bottom in sight here. Not yet. When we do get a bottom, we'll get that blue circle over here that we can see way back on December of last year. And like I said, that'll be the mother of all buy signals, because look what happened since then, right? Like we're at 20,000 and we moved all the way to 65 in 6 months. So that's what I'm looking for fundamentally with these technicals to show us, okay, this mid-cycle bearish phase is over. Now it's time to get back to the bull business and start moving up again. The interesting part of fundamentals too is that on the bottom here, we have the network value. And even through this, it's still moving up. And this is the things that the fundamental guys like Glassnode and Willie Wu are talking about, which makes them say that we're not in a bear market, is that the strong hands are absorbing these weak hands, selling into them. Most of these coins are getting sold here are people who bought in this area and just selling at a loss. They're all short-term newbies that just got in this since the buy signal happened here, and all the fear of missing out kicked in, and they're like all buying really high. So with the fundamentals saying this bull market's not over, we have the minor capitulation in the middle of the cycle. That's never happened before. This is usually a bear market symptom. Once this resolves, then we should be able to get back up and then go towards new all-time highs again in the fall. Any questions so far?
Just a quick observation. I mean, it's sad to see all these newbies buying high and selling low. And it reminds me of what Jeff Berwick tells us, that without knowledge, you won't have conviction. And without conviction, you will make mistakes because you don't know, you don't believe in what you're buying or investing in. But no, this is incredible. I mean, so like Socrates says, if you have a question, go to the specialist. And I'm here speaking to the specialist. Gosh, I mean, so right now, do you see ourselves then waiting on that, on the issues regarding Bitcoin mining to resolve for us to pick up again on a bull market? Is that really what the main fundamental catalyst is?
Yeah, so I think there's two things at play here, and I'm going to point them out. The first one is the fundamentals. Of course, with the mining shutting down, they have to sell. They're going to keep selling. They got stuff to pay for. In addition, even the miners that were all capitalized in China, who had access to credit and banks and everything, all those things, China has cut off that lifeline. They're not allowed to do banking anymore at all. So now they have to sell. There's no other way to actually get any funding to do these moves, is they have to sell their inventory. This is what we're seeing. So once this plays out, that pressure of forced selling is going to disappear. It's the same kind of forced selling we see during tax season, where people are forced to sell to pay their stuff because they have to pay taxes, which is really annoying, but taxation is theft, and a lot of people deal with it that way. So so once these forced sales stop, we should be able to bottom out and continue up. Now there's another thing that plays out, and now I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to switch charts, which is the timing of things. How does Bitcoin market time itself? And let me just zoom out and continue zooming out. And you can see on the bottom, we have these arcs.
Yeah, I see them.
Okay, on the arcs, what we have here is that bottoms tend to happen on the bottom of the arcs every 60 days. So here's a near bottom over here, another near bottom over here, another near bottom over here, and now we're mid-cycle. We actually had like that low, mid-cycle low over here, and I labeled it with an arrow over there. And we're going into this, end of July time frame, which should be another low. Now the question of the matter is, will this low be a higher low at the $30,000 level within this green box over here, and we hold sideways all through here, or it's going to be a low that goes down to 20,000. So we need another month to let this play out. We don't know how it's going to play out. If we go to 20,000, we get fire sale Bitcoin prices. So buy the dip, definitely buy the dip, load up. But the price we pay for that is that we're probably going to have to ride 2 more cycles before we see a bull. So it'll take us to November. You can see on the arcs there. If we hold here and we're still above 30,000 past the bottom of this arc, then this was a reaccumulation, and we can get back to the business of bullishness 1 60-day cycle before that. So does that clarify more or less where we are in this mid-cycle point right now?
Yeah, definitely. It sure does. I love how it seems complicated, but then once you explain everything, it's like, wow, these charts, all of these indicators really help, you know? That's it's pretty neat. So let me ask you again, what's your favorite chart indicator, or what are your favorite chart indicators?
So my favorite chart indicator, I mean, it's the one that goes back to, BBA times, is the SCMR indicator. It's called Spider Crusher Market Research. And that's what gives the candles all these colors. And without the colors, you can see that things, let me strip it all down. Things become pretty boring.
That reminds me a lot of the colors that we see from from the stock to flow model that Plan B has been talking about for years now.
Yeah, he uses the rainbow, right? So like,
yes.
One side of the rainbow is the bottom, the other side of the rainbow is the top. Here, the candle colors have different meanings. It's not quite rainbowy like that, where it's like, red is one side and blue is the other. It's not quite like that. There's a whole like instruction manual that says, a candle of this color means this, and when it changes from this to this, that's what you can expect, and so on. So it took me a long time to figure it out. And Mr. W is one of the masters of this, and he was a great teacher. So that's the first one I like to use a lot. The second one is TD sequential, which gives me the numbers that we can see here and the counts. For example, here we can see we had the 9 bottom that said buy around here. Sure enough, we bought around here, and now we've gone up since then. So timing wise, you can see how it helped us time that trade. And also you can see another 9 over here, and then Elon Musk tweeted at that 9. So that messed things up.
That's funny.
Thanks, Elon, way to go. But like, if he hadn't done that, I believe we'd probably have held 42.
Oh wow.
And at 42 level could have maybe absorbed all the selling from the miners, but because he did that and everyone panicked, we went all the way down to here, and now we're caught in the zone where it's supposed to be accumulating, but we have the miner pressure selling and keeping us at lower levels instead of just keeping us at the 40, 42 like we're expecting. I was really expecting 42 to hold, to be honest. Like without that Elon tweet, like I don't think it would have happened quite as deeply or as intensely. There would have been maybe a slow bleed down and then a slow rise again, instead of this full capitulation kind of thing that happened.
Right on, right on. Let me ask you one more question about stock to flow. Do you see that putting pressure on the market as time goes on? Because it seems as if the stock to flow model has, it seems like this is what the stock to flow model shows, and look, it's mirroring what it's showing. So
yeah,
what are
and
your
it hasn't
thoughts
been
on
broken yet. It hasn't been broken yet. That's the thing that I pay attention to. Has this model been broken? Does it work or does it not work? And even with this, it's still working. If you look at some of the tweets he made, he pointed out that we had we usually have a bit of a dump around this time every cycle, in the mid cycle.
Yeah.
And I can even demonstrate that by putting an image on the screen here, and you can see the 2013 down to the green line, recovers and continues on, and that was a 260 top followed by a 1200 top. So that was a double bubble, as people call it, in 2013. And then we had 2017, which is a very orderly market. That was so orderly, but mid-cycle of the bull phase, boom, down to the green line, recovered, here we go. And now here we are again. much more similar to 2013. Mid-cycle point, we got pretty high, dumped to the green is held, and now we're down here in the zone, recovering. So if we can recover here until July, end of July, then we're in a good picture to continue going higher.
Why is it that people say that summers are always bearish? Why summer?
I think it's because people are outside.
Is that it? People are
Trader,
enjoying their life.
traders traders don't want to be sitting in a hot room all summer long in a sideways market, like trying to scalp, daily scalps of like small amounts. Like, this is the classic, sell in May and go away in Wall Street. Doesn't always work for Bitcoin. Don't follow that advice. But this year, that advice has worked well. But it doesn't mean it's going to work well all the time. And it doesn't. There's some years where summer has not been completely slow and boring. And that was a time that you probably, if you had sold in May and gone away, you'd have been very upset.
Right. Now, let's talk about upsets real quick, because it's almost annoying to me. And I'm not even I don't even do technical analysis. Like Socrates says, you go to the specialist, and that's why we have you and Mr. W on the team. You guys are the gurus. We've looked up to you guys since you guys were the first crew to ever chart Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Talk forums. We're like, these guys are it. They see it and they understand it. And you guys have been charting Bitcoin longer than anyone else on the planet. So it's such a blessing to have you guys on the team. But I want to ask you, because when people come into crypto, especially during this bull run, I've seen it more during this bull cycle than any time in the past, that we see a lot of people all of a sudden they become day traders. And it begs for me to want to caution them, like, this is not something you just pick up and this is something that requires a huge mistake buffer so that you can actually gain experience. Because if you don't have a big arsenal, an arsenal that's big enough for you to make these mistakes, you're not going to be able to learn, and you might wipe yourself out of the market before you earn yourself the necessary experience as a day trader. What are your thoughts on people that jump into day trading, and especially with something so volatile as crypto?
Okay, so first, full disclosure, I don't day trade. I have all these tools available to me. I don't want the stress, because Bitcoin as an asset class, if you time the long-term buys and sells correctly, you don't need to do that. The volatility is like enough that you can make life-changing gains by buying the bottom of a bear market and selling near the top. Doesn't matter what price you got it at. The moves are similar. It's like, 10x, 20x. It's gonna unfold like that. So if you're new to crypto and trying to like day trade to earn 5% more Bitcoin than you had while risking a lot more in case it goes sideways, is not worth it. So my advice for people that want to day trade is that if you want to do that, buy your HODL position, then take like a max of 5% to learn with. And if you can learn to make profit out of that and grow it, then by all means keep going. But if you lose it all, stop. Just stop. Stop messing with it. Hold the rest of 95% of your Bitcoin. And when we get near the top, we're going to sell. We're going to tell our subscribers, hey, it's time to start taking some cream off the top of this awesome thing that you've been holding for a couple of years. And then take your profits and enjoy them. But if you can't make profit with that first 5% that you're playing with and you lose it all, don't keep throwing more at it and then like end up with 90%, 80%, 70%, and eventually like 30% of the Bitcoins you had at the beginning trying to chase this. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's sad because I see people getting wrecked trying to be day traders, and it's like, gosh, and just to hear you say that you yourself don't day trade as well on crypto, that makes me realize that I'm on the right path, because that's kind of been my personal perspective as well. Like crypto in itself, if you just look at something like the stock to flow model, that in itself shows you how cryptocurrency in general is bound to grow in adoption and in market penetration, and the scarcity and the limited of supply of crypto, of Bitcoin, is such that you don't have to put yourself in that predicament of trying to make money by day trading.
And then
So
adding leverage to it. I mean, at that point, I'm just like, that's almost kind of insane.
that is insane.
Because
I've seen people get really wrecked doing that. That
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy. I don't even want to give the name of the providers that allow you to do that type of leverage trading. I'm not even going to mention those in this channel, because I do not want people even getting tempted to do that, because it could be such a harmful thing. And they think they're winning. No, I just made $150,000. Oh my gosh. And then they get greedier. And next thing you know, they get wrecked. It's pretty sad.
They only post their wins and never post their losses. And one thing to keep in mind is that leverage, original leverage was invented for the stock market, and those guys are dealing with, very small percentage moves. To them, a 6% gain is like, a matter of like you popping a champagne bottle, and in crypto, 6% gain is like Tuesday morning. So they invented leverage so they could increase those gains and make their 6% be 12% or 24% by adding leverage to it. But with Bitcoin, do you really need to do that? Do you need to go above 3 times leverage on a $6,000 move? No, you don't need to do that. So when you see providers giving people 10x, 100x leverage, that's not even trading anymore. It's called gambling. You're making a bet, and it's like, if you win it, great. If you lose it all, then you lost it all. So it's not even trading anymore at that point.
Yeah, that's sad. Well, like, if you guys look, guys, I'm not going to be making these videos with Mr. A or W often here on this channel, because this is what they give our subscribers constantly, pretty much daily, right? And you do like 2 videos of like this a week now. Mr. W also does videos for you guys on our dollarvigilante.tv, which is only exclusive only to our subscribers. And you guys do technical analysis almost every day, correct?
Oh, every day. Yeah, constantly. We're always looking at the charts to see what's going on, and preparing for the next video or the next report. Even when I'm out about in middle of nature, I'll pop over and open it up, have a quick look, see where things are at, and then like get back in the lake. So I'm always kind of doing it.
That's awesome. Yes, it seems like everyone in our team loves nature, right? Like Jeff, you, every one of us, we're always hiking, doing something in nature. I think it levels us off from being so techie. It takes us, it heals us from the screen per se, which is awesome. It's really cool to hear that you guys also endeavor in similar extracurriculars. Now, is there anything that you would want to say as parting words to anyone that is looking at the market right now? A lot of people have been growing anxious, thinking that we are that the bull market is over. A lot of people have been ignorant and made horrible moves in the market due to their ignorance. What I tell people first and foremost always is to invest in your education, take your time to learn about these technologies before you even buy anything in crypto. Final thoughts, Mr.
A? Final thoughts. So the advice is, if you didn't sell any in the higher levels at 15, 60,000, don't sell now. Don't panic. If you sell now and it keeps going sideways and we get to this point here and go up, you're going to be buying higher and chasing it. It's not worth it. So hold what you have. If you have some extra money on the side and we drop down here, then buy the dip and add to your stash and just keep holding it. This is a long-term investment. There's at least another 6 months to go before we top out, maybe another year maximum. But be patient, because patience is rewarded in this market. And I believe someone said the markets are designed to take money from the patient and put it into the pockets of the patient. So try to be on that side of the equation if you can.
Right on. Now, when we talk about crypto in general, it seems like we are always looking at Bitcoin. Do you see Do you see Monero, for example, continuing to be pegged to the price movement of Bitcoin? Because during this past year, I noticed that at some times Monero would just do its own thing.
The interesting part about Monero is that actually all through the bear market, Monero price action on the US pair specifically, when it made a move up, it was doing it usually in advance of Bitcoin. And I watched this with other analysts who were like, oh, look, Monero just jumped, expect Bitcoin to jump tomorrow. And like, sure enough, like tomorrow it did it. The sad part is that the magnitude of the moves has not been keeping up in pace with Bitcoin. And that's annoying. Monero has been in this brutal bear market against Bitcoin for a long time, since the bubble in 2017. And I think we're just entering a place now where the Bitcoin to Monero ratio can become like moving to the upside again and recover from the brutal bear market that we had. And I can even show that here. Here's the Monero.
Sure, thanks.
We'll put it on the weekly. See, that's not the one. This is the one. No, that's not this one. Yeah, this is the longest history of Monero that we have. I'll keep magnifying out. And what I think is happening, at the very beginning of Monero, we had these moves here, and it bottomed out. It took a long time, and it pumped, and it went down. Like we thought it was actually going to go, no, long bleed and down again, and then it pumped again, met the same levels here, and then down it went again, and then it finally went up. And I think what's going on here is we're doing one of these again here, and then when we reach that 0.1 level here, it's going to dip again, and then everyone will be like, oh, this coin like sucks against Bitcoin, like I'm out, and then it's going to surprise everyone and pull one of these.
I mean, Monero is incredible. I love Monero. Yeah. That's why I have to ask about it, because it's perfect money.
Yeah. Technologically speaking, it's a superior coin to Bitcoin. We all know that, but it's not priced as if it's superior technology to Bitcoin.
So I was having a conversation with Howard Shu, and he says that he thinks that there's price suppression for Monero. Would you like to comment on that?
I think the price suppression Monero comes from not some entities like trying to suppress the price to keep it down. Monero is used as a place that you can take your Bitcoin, jump into it, move it somewhere else, jump out, and then get out to break the chain that lets you trace it. And because it's used like that, there's a constant sell pressure happening. People are not buying a large amount of Monero to hold. They're buying a large amount of Monero, they're moving it somewhere else, and selling it and then getting out immediately. So there's not much of a hodling kind of thing happening in the Monero side of the equation. So that's why that suppression is happening, but it's not like an intentional suppression.
Interesting that people just don't hodl it because it is superior money, but whatever, right?
It is superior money, but you have to justify holding something that doesn't perform as well as Bitcoin in your portfolio. Right. And that's why people are not going all in on it. I mean, I know some people do, they go all in on it, but that's not outperforming Bitcoin by any means, not right now. So my personal opinion is, you hold Bitcoin, you hold some Monero, you hold some other things, and then you balance it out as things move along, but you don't go all in on it, and then use coin control to keep your privacy in place.
Right on, right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you for covering Monero out of nowhere.
No problem.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover any other coins while we're at it? You're more than welcome to.
Do I want to cover any other coins? Let's see. I'll cover
a small cap coin. It's up to you.
Well, can I cover my next favorite coin since we're like on the topic? I'm gonna cover R.
Go for it.
Just because
Do it.
And
And it's a small cap coin. There you go.
And people got on my case about this yesterday, so I was going to mention it right now since we're talking about it. I have had this triangle drawn in the R versus Bitcoin price since we topped. Well, don't need that. Since we topped up here.
Yeah, I remember.
And every so often it pumps into the triangle and then dumps, and you extend the triangle a little bit. I've been saying, hey, this is getting compressed. It's going to dump soon. And yesterday I actually said, we're very close to it happening. And then sure enough, it happened. And here we are down as moving average, as I said it would. And I think it's going to capitulate into the blue line. And then when we get there, that's a buy. So I think the time to load up on R, which is, when you look at privacy levels, it's the best privacy coin. It's not as tested or as analyzed as well as Monero from a third-party perspective that looks at the code. Monero has been studied by university level doctorates and people like that for many years. And I think R needs a little bit of that to become more trustworthy in the eyes of the privacy space. But I think we need to load up on it while it's cheap. Just like people who are buying Monero down in the 50-cent range way back when. Even if you bought it back then, it's $200 today. You did great, right? Not a bad trade at all. So buy the R, which down here, which against the dollar should be somewhere in the $1 to $2 range. And load up your bags and be patient and hold, because this is going to take some serious time to bottom out and then go up again. If Bitcoin decides to recover, early and stay above 30,000 for the rest of the month, then R should follow with it. But if it doesn't follow along with it, then it's going to take us a little bit longer. But yes, I love the pirates. Get some pirates in your bags, get some pirate booty, and hold on.
Yeah, it really is. It really is an interesting project altogether. I love it. And the fact that they're taking all of these concerns seriously and they're working on getting together some third-party peer review audits shows their commitment to making sure that this exotic form of cryptography, zero knowledge proofs, is good to go, and that everyone's question about it gets satiated, right? Because it is something very new. It is something. I'm sorry.
There's something interesting. There's something interesting about it too. Is that what I'm seeing is that usually the regular Joe public is into Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and the more well-known coins. But what I'm seeing with R is that regular folk know about it and they're buying it, which I haven't seen with the small cap coin this early happen.
Me either.
For example,
I
have
very weird.
I have a friend who went to see his massage therapist the other day and started talking crypto, and it's like, oh yeah, I did the best on buying R back in the 10-cent range.
Wow.
And it's like, I never heard a massage therapist holding pirate chain, but here we go, it's happening.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the mimetic of a pirate, right? I mean, a lot of people say I don't like the name of the coin, but everyone loves pirates. I mean, look at Disney made billions out of pirates, right? So it's people love pirates, kids love pirates. There are big parties where they celebrate and people dress up like pirates all over the world. It's very much embedded in everyone's culture now. I mean, there are Asian pirates, there are the folklore of the pirate. It's something that is universal pretty much. It's just someone that is free out at sea. And so that's something that I think everyone jives with in itself, the meme of it. But then once you get into the fundamentals and you see that you're dealing with zero knowledge proofs by default at the protocol level, you have to stop and think and realize that we're dealing with state-of-the-art cryptography in creating a privacy coin that is beginning to rival Monero. And I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think if Dogecoin can be the best performing altcoin of the year, why not Pirate Chain?
Right.
And the interesting part is when you look at Blockchain Center, they have Dogecoin listed as the best performing coin of the year. You know, it's like X amount of percent. I'm not gonna get into it. But if you look at Pirate Chain performance, it's actually better, but it's not listed.
Wow. That's incredible. I did not even know that. I did not know that Pirate Chain performed better than Dogecoin.
Yeah,
Dogecoin
it
to me
did.
is always something fun. Really,
Yeah.
do you know by what percentage?
I was looking at a couple days ago, but I think I mean right now, what are we at? How many X? Like it's let's say we got in a, you know, very early on and it's $3 right now, and you got in at 10 cents, that's, you know, 30X.
And we announced it
Uh
at 5 cents, 5 cents, 6 cents.
5 cents. Okay,
Yeah, five
so
cents.
either way, on a percentage scale, we're still like, you know, a lot more than Dogecoin.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's just not
That's
listed.
wild.
And I think you know, I love the meme. A meme coin can totally perform well, but I think the name of it prevents some exchanges from listing it, and that's fine. But I think eventually there'll be so much interest and exchanges want to make money, they'll have to list it. And I don't see why they can't. A lot of exchanges don't list privacy coins because they're afraid of regulatory problems that they can bring. But you know, Kraken has Monero, and Kraken is a bank. So if Kraken can do that, everyone else can as well.
Right on, right on. And it's funny because this reminds me of the controversy that recently happened with Justin Ehrenhofer in the Monero community, that people were kind of upset that he's been trying to help Monero get into exchanges and accepted by exchanges. And a lot of it, in my opinion, came from a lot of people that are newer to Monero that have not realized that the main gateway to Monero has been the KYC AML exchanges. But we're starting to see this new development. Now we have atomic swaps, we have atomic swaps, we have decentralized exchanges, and we have real good escrow services for P2P exchange like Local Monero and Agorodesk and Bisq that have grown to the degree now that a lot of people feel comfortable using them as much as they would feel comfortable using a KYC AML exchange. So it's interesting to me to see how the Monero community seems to want to move away from KYC AML exchanges, even though it's been something that they've been very much involved in promoting. Where we see the Pirate Chain community, since it's younger, moving towards wanting to be accepted by more and more exchanges. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, there's a balance to be found between the two. And a lot of exchanges have, like, you know, we've gone through all this with the document that we put out. I don't know, I think it was last week, that talks about. I think we even discussed this at the Dollar Vigilante conference last week, talking about what you do with your KYC coins you acquire in exchange. Where do you send them to a non-KYC exchange? How do you move them around? And the exchanges that have, you know, chain analysis that start blocking coins that came from certain places and things. And it's, what's interesting to me is that a lot of exchanges are, like, you know, are bending to the regulators. But I also see, like, for example, there's an exchange in Canada, and I'm not going to mention any names here right now, but they essentially encourage all users to put their Bitcoin through a Wasabi wallet before they send them in.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
they encourage that. And in addition, any coin that you buy from them, they're non-custodial, by the way. Any coin that you buy from them has been put through Wasabi wallet.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what's
Uh,
very interesting is that transparent surveillance coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum,
mhm.
they are an actual nightmare for compliance officers because now they have to ask questions that they've never had to ask before, you know? Well, did you have the access to look at the history of this unit of account? Yes. Since you did have access, why didn't you? And it's like we've never had this in history, right? Like, did you have access to look at where that guy got his dollar bill? No,
I
it's
know.
impossible to know where this dollar bill was before it arrived to my possession, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny how compliance officers like they actually prefer privacy coins. As people don't realize that they actually do, because there's no law for blockchain analytics in the book right now, and it's just making their life hell at the present moment. Sorry, you were
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Well, I was just saying that, like, if an exchange can do what I just mentioned, they're doing, because at the end of the day, Wasabi Wallet is not illegal, and if an exchange can encourage the users to take that extra privacy step, and also take the privacy step with the coins they sell to the users, why can't everyone else do so?
I think that exchange is pretty smart, and they're being
Mm-hmm.
efficient because, yeah, uh, blockchain analytics is, like I said, it's hell for the compliance officer. It really is.
Yeah.
It's just something
Yeah.
else that they have to do, and I've seen it in its worst manifestation is when people buy from a KYC AML exchange. The KYC AML exchange follows the purchaser of that transparent coin into the
Yeah.
future. And
Yeah.
and we saw this with the Paxos exchange, where the people got a letter in the mail saying, how dare we have to freeze your accounts because you send your Bitcoin to a Wasabi wallet. And that to me is just
Yeah.
madness. You know what I
It
mean?
is madness. It is madness. And that's why I always say that the first thing you do with coins that you acquire, uh, rule number one, you never send from exchange to exchange, period. That's just like should not be the option in the book ever. And when you do take your coins out of an exchange, they should go into your cold storage. And from your cold storage, they can go somewhere else. So they're at least 2 steps down the line from them watching where it's going. And you can't be held responsible because the third person in the chain put it into a Wasabi wallet. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, it's
Always bring it home
wild.
first to cold storage and then put it somewhere else. And if you're really hardcore, you actually move to another cold storage and then put it somewhere else. But never, ever, 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 ever send from exchange to exchange, period.
I mean, or you could just use a privacy coin,
Yeah,
like get rid of this
I
whole
mean, yeah,
headache.
exactly,
Just you
exactly.
don't have to deal with no more BS from transparent surveillance coins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I mean, I love Monero, I love Pirate Chain, because they're so undervalued right now. The utility that they offer you, that they offer, the privacy that they offer everyone. Like Daniel Kim says, even family offices, when they invest in crypto for their portfolio, they don't subject themselves to financial voyeurism when they deal with a privacy coin like Monero. So
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and I hope that people start seeing the value of fungible money.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think when you are, moving to fiat from any crypto, Monero should be your exit. That
Yeah,
should be it. Should be a step in the exit of how are you getting out, like
it's just
just to
and
like cut that chain that lets them trace where things came from, how it all happened. It should be like the second last stop at least.
it's just a proper function, and it's a property of money fungibility, right? For one unit of account to always be equal and interchangeable for any other unit of account within that currency. So in my opinion, everything BTC wants to be is Monero. Like everything that they talk about, digital gold, store of value, like in my opinion, if you're not fungible, you can't really serve that need. If you're not private by default, you can't really be like the treasure chest that you desire that to be. So it's yeah, I think it's okay. Let me ask you something about markets here, because it sucks to be
Mm-hmm.
too early into something sometimes, right? I mean, it's almost like you can be too early, and 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 that can lead you into making mistakes, not because you were wrong, but because you didn't time things right.
Or you lack the patience. You got in
There you
early and
go.
it dropped, and you didn't wait long enough for it to go back to where it started and actually much higher.
So the
Which
so the
can
moral of
happen.
this so the moral of the story with Mr. A is that, what was it they said earlier, that the market takes away from the impatient and gives to the patient.
Exactly. It's designed to take money from the patient and put it in the pockets of the patients.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are great parting words, Mr. A. Is there anything else that you would want to leave everyone with?
No, I think those are good parting words. I'll stick with those.
All right, right on. Well, thank you for being with us. If you guys want to follow Mr. A, join the Crypto Vigilante. A and W are kicking butt every day, giving you guys the best perspective in following the markets, the perspective that any OG Bitcoiner will tell you was the beginning of it all. The same crew that started, the first ones in the world to chart Bitcoin at the Bitcoin Talk forums in 2010. They are here servicing you, ready to give you their insights at the Crypto Vigilante. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. A.
Thank you very much. It's been a total pleasure.
Likewise.